often see a lot of black Americans get triggered when they hear Make America Great Again. And I've asked a couple of people why. Why does that trigger you? And the answer was simple. Well, the question, they answered the question with a question. Uh, when was America great for African Americans? Well, I can tell you when, or I'll tell you a little story. In 1906, there was a young man, 25 years old, millionaire, very rich African American. In 1906, he bought 40 acres in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he vowed to only sell it for oppressed, freed slaves from Mississippi. And he sold this, and it created a great town. I mean, people were making money hand over fist in this all-black community. Some know it as Black Wall Street. Dollar would circulate in that community 36 to 100 times before it even left the community. It would take almost a year for a dollar to leave it. The reason why is back then in 1906 and 1921, blacks were not allowed to shop in white-owned businesses. Um, During the height of this town, there were plenty of black males that they're worth 150,000, 25,000, 50,000. In today's money would be millionaires. It's a lot of money back then. Now you're talking a time, 1906. It's just uh, like 43 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So there were still like red flag laws in place, Jim Crow laws, uh, and there were a lot of obstacles for black Americans in those days, but they managed to create this great town of millionaires. There were only two airports in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time, and two black families owned two private planes during this time. So I would say that there was a time when America was great for black Americans as well. Now, I know a lot of people get on here, especially a lot of my black friends, will say, well, it was burned down by whites in 1921. Yes, there was a severe riot. A black man was accused of raping a white woman. There was a gun battle at the courthouse. And during this time, a bunch of impoverished whites from Mississippi that brought some of their racist mentality to Tulsa um, went to burn the town down. And it was destroyed in 1921. But this is the part that they leave out. They leave out the part that the mayor of the town enticed these poor, impoverished white Mississippians who've migrated to Oklahoma to burn this town down. And the reason why they wanted it burned down is that they saw a desire for this land to be great for corporations. So after the town was burned down, the African Americans that owned land there, they were given pennies on the dollar. So the poor whites who burned it down got nothing, and the African Americans who had their stuff burned down got nothing. So the government used poor whites for a gain, for a political gain, or a land grab, I'll say. And if you take a look at things right now, it's the same thing going on now. They are trying to convince black people that they are oppressed. They've managed to convince a couple of whites that blacks are oppressed. They get them out in the street and they protest. The only question is, what is their end game? Because there is one. This is not the first time this has been done. See, that just goes to show you that black America, as well as all Americans, average Americans, do better when the government leaves them alone. When they are allowed to thrive on their own, get past the obstacles, and do well for themselves, not for hand-me-downs or give-me-outs. And if old W. Gurley was able to do it, how come today's black man can't do it right now? Because there's no more red flag laws. There's no more redlining. You have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And nobody can hang you and get away with it. Yeah, you got a couple of bad cops that are bad apples out there. But just think about it. The people in Tulsa, Oklahoma and Black Wall Street had one thing that black communities don't have right now. And that is unity in the community. And if you can't have unity in your own community, how can you think that you can have unity nationwide? Think about it. I'm Deion Alexander, American First.